Hey, this is Bert with the Bread Brothers. Thank you for joining me. I'm going strong with my isolation beard that I've never had this long before. And today we're going to make soft pretzels. I absolutely love soft pretzels. I have since I was a kid. I love getting them at the mall with that fake cheese sauce that you dip them in. They're so good. And a couple years ago, Ben and I took our wives to Germany and Switzerland, and the pretzels there were just amazing. Even in the train station, they were amazing. And so I determined at that point that I was going to find a pretzel recipe that I really liked. And so this is the best one I found. If you found a better one, let me know. But this one's really easy and it's super delicious. And so let's get started. The first thing I need to do is to proof my yeast. So I've got 1 cup of water, a teaspoon of sugar to help activate that yeast, and 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast. You can use instant yeast. You can check out our video on the difference between the two, but today I'm using active dry yeast. So I'm going to put that in my mixer and let that sit for about 5 minutes so the yeast gets a little frothy, and I'll show you what that looks like. The yeast has sat in the water and the sugar for 5 minutes. You can see that it's all foamy and puffy, so it's ready to add the dry ingredients. So all I need are 2 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add that to my bowl and put that on the mixer. And using the dough hook, I'm going to get that turned on and fully incorporated before I set it to knead. Okay, this is what it looks like before I turn it on the knead setting. It's fully incorporated, all the flour is all mixed in, and now I'm going to turn it up a little bit, and for 5 minutes I'm going to let this knead and come all together. This has been going for about 5 minutes. I'm going to show you what this looks like. It's soft and smooth, and that looks awesome. I'm going to put it back in my bowl. I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap and let that rest for about 30 minutes. Our dough has rested for 30 minutes. You can see that it's got a little more puffy. It's nice and smooth, and that's exactly what we want to have it look like. It's time to put it on my clean countertop and cut it into 8 different pieces. So the dough is just slightly sticky, so I'm going to use just a little bit of flour on here just so it doesn't stick. Okay, now you don't have to weigh these out. Just do your best to cut it in half and then keep cutting it in half until you have 8 equal pieces of dough. Now for the fun part. We're going to roll these out and shape them into pretzels. And so this dough will stretch back into place. So just put it on your countertop and start in the middle and just roll it out. Roll it out. You want to have it at least, I don't know, a couple feet, 2 feet. They probably won't get that long with this piece, but roll it as far out as you can get it. And try to keep it as even as possible. I've rolled this as long as it's going to go. It keeps kind of stretching back. Now here's the fun part, is shaping them into the pretzel. I mess it up very regularly, but the easiest way to do it is to make a U shape and cross them over, and grab your opposite hands and twist and bring it down. Boom. I have made a pretzel, and I did it on the first try. What you didn't see is I had to practice it on this one 3 times, and my wife had to do it for me. But I got it. I'm going to roll the rest of these out, and then I'm going to show you the next step. Because the key to making the distinctive outside texture of a pretzel is I've got a cup of water that I boiled, and I dissolved 2 tablespoons of baking soda into it after it came to a boil, and I'm going to put that over the top of these for 20 or 30 seconds. So I'll finish shaping these and then we'll put it in the water. These are all ready to go. I have my cup of water that I boiled, and with 2 tablespoons of baking soda. I'm going to put that warm soda bath in here and put a couple of these at a time into here. I'm going to spoon the water over them. I'm going to do that for about 20 or 30 seconds each one of these. It's going to coat it with that baking soda, and that's going to give it that amazing brown, chewy crust on the outside. Put it on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper or a silicone mat. While they're still wet, sprinkle a little coarse salt over the top to it, and that'll stick nicely to them. You don't want to overdo that. I love the salt part of it, so I'll do a couple with a little extra salt. I'll get all of these done. These have all had their soda bath, they've had their salt. I've preheated the oven to 450 degrees, and I'm only going to bake these 10 minutes. Good to check on these probably 8 minutes in. You don't want to overbake these. So 8 to 10 minutes, maybe 11 minutes, just till they're perfectly brown. Now, for me, soft pretzels are not soft pretzels without a cheese sauce. So I'm going to show you how to make a quick cheese sauce that's super delicious. So we'll do this. I'm going to heat my pan medium. I've got 2 tablespoons of butter that I'm going to melt in there. And once that's all melted, I'm going to make a roux with 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Now the roux is just the butter and the flour whisked together until it browns, which takes 2 or 3 minutes. And that'll be the thickener that then I'll add my cheese and milk. All right, that butter is nice and bubbly, so I'm going to add to it my flour, and I'm going to whisk this the whole time until it gets nice and thick. You can see it's already making a paste. We don't want it to burn. We want it to just lightly brown. And so it's only going to take a couple of minutes. Just keep it moving in your pan. Okay, that's started to change color, starting to go brown. I don't want to burn it, so I'm going to carefully, slowly pour my milk into this and whisk really quickly so I don't get any burning. And I'm going to continue to whisk this until it thickens up. Not until it thickens enough that it's pourable. But this will take probably 3 or 4 minutes. You can see how this is thickened nicely. It's still pourable, but it's like a nice thick sauce. I have a cup of shredded cheddar cheese that I'm just going to sprinkle over the top here. I smashed it down in there to make sure I got a whole bunch of cheese in there. And now I'm just going to mix this in, whisk it until it melts. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to it. And I've already pulled the pretzels out of the oven, and this is going to be an awesome sauce to dip those in. The pretzels are hot out of the oven. I've melted 3 tablespoons of butter. And I'm just going to give them a nice brush over the top of all of these. Nice, good buttery level layer on top of all of these. Yeah, so good. All right, these are so ready. I can't wait anymore. I've got my cheese in 1 cup. I love a really coarse ground mustard. So I've got that too, like they do like I ate in Germany. Oh, look at the inside of those. Nice and soft. They're buttery on the outside. I'm going to go right into the cheese first. There's nothing like pulling a pretzel hot out of the oven, dipping it into some sauce, and enjoying it and pretending you're somewhere that you're not. Thanks for joining us today. Remember, if you like this video, to like it, share it with your friends, subscribe, hit the little notifications button if you want to get reminded when we post new videos. And bake bread and be happy.